Hello everybody, it's TannerFishies here, back again with a new Ninjago video here on the channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing another Ninjago Season 16 theory or speculation topic revolving around the character of Jay, and the idea of him potentially losing his powers or at least having some sort of difficulty with them during the events of the next Ninjago season, whatever you may call it. Now, the idea of Jay losing his powers we've kind of touched on occasionally on this channel, not too much though. In today's video, I would like to follow up on something that was mentioned by some of you guys on some recent live streams that I did and discuss the idea, because in a way I really enjoy it. I started thinking about the idea of Jay potentially losing his powers out of grief or guilt for Nia's tragic departure towards the ending of Ninjago Seabound, and while Nia may in fact be back at some point in Ninjago's future, it's very obvious that her return will not come immediately and will have some effect on the ninja themselves. Before we get any further into the video, I should probably give out a quick disclaimer. Obviously, with this being a speculation or theory-based video, this is not based entirely in fact, and the events that we're going to be talking about in today's video may not even happen in the next season. This video will not contain any confirmed information unless I say otherwise. So let's go ahead and talk about it really quick. So in terms of Jay losing his powers, what type of evidence do we have for that? Well, I wasn't super on board with this idea being possible until a recent Ninjago comic was released as a part of a LEGO magazine. Not exactly sure what magazine this belongs to, but the magazine contained a brief Ninjago comic which showcases some new Ninjago content for 2022, specifically some of the new Ninjago core sets as well as the costumes associated with them. And while this comic is not officially confirmed to be a part of Season 16 necessarily, I do believe it does have some evidence in there that could suggest how the ninja are feeling during the events of the next season. I've already discussed the overall entirety of this comic in great detail in a previous video, so if you haven't seen that just yet, feel free to check it out. But there is a certain panel that I would like to take a look at that does in fact suggest that perhaps Jay is having some difficulties with his powers, and that panel is as follows. You'll see it on your screen right now. In this panel, you can see the ninja are trying to train their powers following the orders of Master Wu, and Jay is kind of struggling with something right here. We can see that he says, "I don't think I can do this, I just miss Nia too much," to which Cole, his right-hand man, his shoulder to cry on if you will, responds with the following: "We all miss her, Jay. I still can't believe she became one with the sea." Obviously he's referring to Nia. Jay is thinking about Nia, and all of the other ninja are kind of thinking about her as well, so it kind of seems like the entire group is having some type of difficulty with Nia departing. That much we had already assumed and inferred time and time again, but Jay losing his powers, where does that come from? Well, back to this panel, you can see that Jay is attempting to use his lightning powers, or at least do something with his elemental powers. It's not exactly clear what he's trying to do. In a way, it looks like he's controlling water, but I don't think that's the case. Instead, it looks like he's trying to harness some type of power, whether that be lightning or something similar. You can see some of the other ninja doing some similar things in the background, which makes me think that the ninja are not only training their ninja abilities, but they are also training their elemental powers, and perhaps Jay is having trouble with his. The "I don't think I can do this" line pretty much summarizes that Jay might in fact be struggling with his powers. He doesn't think that he can actually perform as well as he used to on account of Nia being gone, and Jay struggling with his powers could very well be because Nia is no longer there. He simply misses Nia too much to adapt to his powers and actually utilize them as well as he was able to do in the past. Now, what do I think about all of this? Do I think that Jay could actually be losing his powers at some point? Well, the evidence kind of suggests that, sure, but it also suggests a couple of other things that we will touch on in a little bit here. Conceptually, Jay losing his powers is very similar to that of Nia having issues with her powers during the events of Seabound, so obviously that's a pretty big red flag there. It doesn't seem like Ninjago is super keen on reusing plot points, especially stuff like that, so maybe we won't see anything too similar to Nia's power loss or her power disruption, whatever you want to call it, or simply the Ninjago show might tackle Jay's powers in a different way and showcase his grief some other way. Again, that's not really clear just yet. I do think Jay struggling or even losing his powers is a good idea though. It kind of reminds me of the old school Spider-Man 2 story, where, you know, he's struggling to balance his personal life with his hero life, and sometimes those things overlap. I think Ninjago could benefit from showcasing a series of events similar to that. Maybe Jay's emotions and physical powers are not as balanced or as blended as they probably should be. This could be a good way to showcase Ninjago's understanding of grief and struggle, which I do think is important. I mean, mental health in Ninjago has not really been covered a whole lot, so maybe they could do something similar to that in Season 16 and have Jay try to overcome his emotional problems before he can understand his physical ones. We could see Jay struggling with his emotional problems and then eventually bounce back, conquering both his emotional problems and his physical ones as well, retaining his powers once again and potentially saving the day towards the end of of the story. I imagine that Jay will indeed see some type of hardship during Ninjago Season 16, and losing his powers may in fact be that hardship. But as much as I like this idea, I'm not super confident in its execution per se. I do really enjoy the idea once again. I think that Jay losing his powers is a fantastic idea that Ninjago could explore one day. However, taking a look at the entire comic suggests something different is going on here. First of all, the panel that we talked about earlier, where Jay is kind of struggling with something, saying to Cole that he doesn't think that he can do this. How do we know he's specifically referring to his powers here? I mean, sure, he's using his powers in that given moment, so it's kind of implied that maybe Jay is struggling with his powers, but the entire comic showcases the ninja training and trying to work together as a team once again, building up their teamwork skills alongside Master Wu. So maybe Jay is simply referring to training. He doesn't think that he can train. I mean, I don't blame the guy. When you think about it, the ninja have been training together for years now, even with the addition of Nia, so training without her would seem kind of weird, especially if she's not around. So maybe Jay is just struggling to train alongside the rest of the ninja because it reminds him too much of why he misses Nia. Nia, being one of the most skilled ninja on the team, arguably, would be very good at training, and probably trained a lot during her downtime. We saw her doing this very same thing in Ninjago Seabound, meaning that Nia probably trained a whole lot, and she was probably really good at it too. So Jay training, trying to test his ninja skills alongside his teammates, yeah, that would probably remind him of Nia. I can totally understand why he might be struggling in that regard. While I do think Jay struggling with his elemental powers, again, would be an interesting storyline that Ninjago could explore and use effectively to convey a sense of grief and understanding to audience members that may be going through something similar. I don't know, to me the comic overall more suggests that maybe Jay is having trouble training because Nia used to train so much, and perhaps he's just having trouble finding that motivation, as I mentioned earlier. So to summarize this video, we talked about a potential storyline for Jay in Ninjago Season 16, and I want to know what you guys think about this as well. So feel free to leave a comment down below talking about what you think about this storyline for Jay and how it could potentially work into the Ninjago Season 16 story. Do you think we might see Jay struggle with his powers at some point? Could he potentially lose them entirely? Or are you on the other side of things and think that maybe this comic is just trying to suggest that perhaps Jay is struggling with his ninja training because it reminds him too much of Nia, which I honestly think is the more likely of the two options that I discussed in today's video. But regardless, that'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here today, so leave a comment down below discussing what you may or may not think about this whole debacle. What do you think Jay will be up to during the events of Ninjago Season 16? Leave all your thoughts down below in the comments, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video. That'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here today. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you enjoyed, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and check out the links down below in the description for my other forms of social media. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's video once again. My name is TannerFishies, and with that I bid you farewell.